What's up, world? It's your girl, T Fizzle. Okay, so before I start, I know y'all's like, why the fuck is she wearing these glasses? Why is she still wearing these glasses? You know why? Because I want to, that's why. So anyways, people always get on me. No, it's not people, it's just like 3 people. About why I do so much news on Florida. First of all, it is an inside joke on my fan page. We always talk about the crazy news that comes out of Florida. So shout out to all my Florida subscribers that I fools with on a regular basis. Anyhow, somebody asked me, like, why don't you ever talk about ratchet news that comes out of your state? I'm sure Minnesota ain't perfect. You always talk about Florida. Minnesota, has to have some ratchet news somewhere. And it does. Ratchet stuff does go on in Minnesota, just like any other city. Ratchet stuff happens everywhere. So here's a case in point that happened in Anoka, Minnesota. And it's the case of Stephanie and Brad. Basically what happened is that their 12-year-old daughter came home from school and she had received a bad report card. So instead of them punishing her, taking away her 360, taking away her cell phone, and whatever electronic gadget that she may have had, they decided to shave off her head and make her put on a diaper and run around the neighborhood. So they basically humiliate this girl, and then they locked the door so she couldn't come back in the house. So she had to run around the neighborhood in nothing but a diaper on and a shirt. I think she had on like a t-shirt and a diaper. Her head was shaved, and she was out there crying. So the neighbors ended up calling the police, and when the police arrived, they saw about 30 to 40 people, including her classmates, her neighbors, all sitting there watching this poor little girl get humiliated and cry and plead to come into the house.
Parents accused of basically bullying their own child are back home tonight, despite people in their friendly neighborhood not wanting them there.
On Monday night, neighbors say they shaved their 12-year-old daughter's head and forced her out of the house wearing little more than an adult diaper. Fox 9's Leah Bino tried to talk with those parents who bailed out of jail today. Leah, did they have anything to say on this?
Well, they refused to talk to us, so it's hard to imagine just how you justify something like this. I spoke with dozens of witnesses. All of them agree this sort of parenting wasn't discipline. This was disgusting.
The mental torment and anguish that they put this 12-year-old girl, I don't know if they can ever repair that.
No one knows exactly what's been going on inside this Fridley townhome, but what happened just outside Monday evening made neighbors sick.
The whole complex was sitting there just looking at her like, I'm like, oh my God, it was so sad.
Mostly kids watching her, and some were laughing at her, like, it was embarrassing.
According to charges filed Wednesday, a 12-year-old girl's mom and stepdad, 38-year-old Stephanie Broughton, and 34-year-old Darnell Landrum were angry about an F on her report card. They shaved her head, put her in a tank top and an adult diaper, and made her run sprints through the busiest play area of the complex. Humiliation they called diaper duty.
I told her to stop running, and then she said, if I stop running, I'm going to get in trouble, and then I have to run some more.
Somebody said that she had a choice, though, was to get beaten or have that done.
Sally Benson immediately called police when her kids told her what was going on and gave the girl a blanket so she could at least cover up in front of the crowd of nearly 100.
She was crying and begging, please let me in. They wouldn't let her in.
For me, the most disturbing part is the parents' reaction to this. They still, I think, to this day, don't believe they've done anything wrong.
Police say the couple was even laughing in the back of the patrol car as the girl and her 3 siblings were all taken away to protective custody. With the couple now out of jail, we wanted to find out what was so funny. We could hear them hiding behind the blinds, refusing repeated attempts to tell us their side of the story.
Them parents got issues. They got deep issues.
Maybe they are the ones humiliated now.
I think they should still be in jail right now to this day, if you ask me.
Police say they've been called to this house at least 4 times in the past year. If convicted, they could face up to a year in jail, which many people we talked to believe is not enough. As for that little girl, some of her friends say she was back in school today wearing a bandana over her head and in good spirits. Pretty brave considering the circumstances.
So what ended up happening is that they ended up taking the children away from their mother. They put them in the custody of their biological father. So they ended up giving the boyfriend 120 days for shaving her head and humiliating the little girl. But what I found crazy is that the mother who condoned it and who also participated like the boyfriend, they gave her 90 days in jail, but she still gets to go to work. you know, I'm not agreeing with that. If you're in jail, you're in jail. You should be able to serve those 90 days. There is no work. If you lose your job, oh well. Instead of coming up with some type of torture method for your child to get better grades, how about helping her study at night? How about helping her with her homework? How about going to meet with the teachers and finding out what's wrong? You know, I think the woman should have got more than 90 days in jail, and for her to be able to still work and then go to jail, where they do that at? Only in Minnesota would they allow you to go to work and then come back and go to jail afterward. I think that's stupid. I've never heard of no other state doing that. But it's something they do up here where they allow people to work and go to jail. Whereas in other states, when you go to jail, you are in jail, and that's all there is to it. So yeah, that's a ratchet-ass case that happened in Minnesota. I have no problem putting this state on blast like any other state out there. So anyways, go ahead. Let me know what you guys think about the entire story. I think the entire story is sickening. I'm glad that little girl got out of her household. I'm glad they went back to go live with their biological father. And for a woman and her boyfriend to come with that type of plot as a punishment, I think it shows how devious they are. And there might have been other types of abuse going on in that household as well. So I definitely think that they deserve to get their asses kicked. You don't do that to your child. You don't shave off her head. Like I said in my video about the father who had beat his child on Wall Star Hip Hop, and it ended up not being the father, but there's a fine line between humiliation and discipline. You know, there's nothing wrong with disciplining your child, but it has to make sense. And that child needs to know why they're being disciplined. But just shaving their head off and making them put on a diaper, that's not teaching that child anything. That's teaching that child to hate you, and that's also teaching that child humiliation. So I just think some of these parents are just taking this shit a little bit too damn far. That story pissed me off. That's one of the ratchet stories coming out of Minneapolis. So go ahead, leave a comment, let me know what you guys think. All right, deuces.